Big thanks to Northside Tool Rental for sponsoring Shoot to Grill. Any and all of your tool rental needs with 5 Atlanta area locations. From chainsaws to track loaders to wood splitters, I've rented just about everything from Northside Tool Rental. Check them out online, northsidetoolrental.com. Thanks, guys.
Shoot to grill, aim to chill. Too many cold ones, I need an Advil, yeah. Shoot to grill, I can't kill. So don't bring me nothing that's got chlorophyll, yeah.
Hey, and welcome to the Shoot to Grill podcast. My name is Jason Bailey, and we are once again doing it here at the Atlanta Grill Company in beautiful Roswell, Georgia. Now, this episode, awesome, right? We've got Sheed from Phillips Barbecue Company, or co.com, and you will once again be making us an amazing meat thanks to Terry over there at AtlantaSteakandSeafood.com, and our special celebrity guest, as we have with every podcast, with every episode. Wow. Dude, I got to tell you, I'm really excited. Montell Jordan is sitting to my left.
Yeah,
Montell,
he is.
how are you, man?
What's up, man? How are you?
Dude, this is so cool. This is going to be so much fun. So let me just kind of explain how this works before we get into me fanboying out for you.
Come on.
Oh, yeah, you have no idea. You have no idea what to expect here in the next 20, 30 minutes. And actually, I think Rashid, he kind of set me up for this episode.
Okay.
That's how we're starting it off right now?
Because,
Not
you know,
even
he
leading
wanted
to
to
it.
do a
Okay.
brisket for you.
Okay.
All right. And this guy's cooking is over and beyond anything that anyone's ever had. Usually we cook during the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But Sheed, would you like to explain to not only Montell, but everybody listening / watching what you decided to do for this episode and the first time you've ever done something like this?
Oh,
Go
wow.
ahead, do your thing.
I feel special. What'd you do, man?
Feels like he set me up here. So
Oh, yeah, I
we
am.
typically, Jason gets to have all the fun.
Okay.
Jason gets to talk to our guests, get to know them. I get maybe 5 minutes here and there before and after, before we hit record. I have to listen to the podcast because I don't even know what's being said.
Okay.
Well, I'd listen to it anyway, but I wanted to be involved, and I wanted to do something different. I heard you're a grill guy yourself. You
Yes,
enjoy
sir.
it. You've got an egg. And I said, you know what? I don't want to make something he's probably made a million times before or has done on his own. And brisket's hard.
Yeah.
Not everyone can do a really good brisket the right way.
That's right.
And I said, let's make brisket. Well, I can't shoot brisket here. We don't have 18 hours.
Or we sure don't.
So,
No, okay. Oh, that's the long, convoluted, weird-ass story. I don't know what the hell you just said. Here's what he did, Montell. He wanted to be a part of the conversation, so
Okay.
he made the brisket for, what, 10 hours?
18 hours.
18 hours.
Yeah.
And just brought it, and he's going to heat it up because he wants to be in on this.
Oh, there's no heating it up. I literally took it off the smoker before I started driving here.
Okay,
That's
whatever.
crazy.
So that's how
That's
excited
crazy.
he was for you to be here. So
Oh, such a
well,
hater.
I appreciate that.
I
'cause
just wanted to showcase our show. I wanted to do us justice.
I didn't even have breakfast today just for this
Oh,
reason.
man. Well,
So,
what I'll
when-
be making is what I call a Pitmaster taco. It's
Okay.
White bread, pickled onions, homemade pickles, nice thick slices of brisket. You can just enjoy.
Wow.
that's awesome. So when we first met, Montell, and that's why I'm assuming not only you're nice enough to drive over and be a part of this, but you're a grill guy too.
Yes, sir.
All right, so and you got the green egg at the house, and so is this like an every weekend thing, you and the family, or what? How do you do it?
Well, I keep the house, I only do a couple of things really well when it comes to just being in the world of culinary arts and everything. So I fry turkeys, I make gumbo, and I barbecue. And so I have a gas grill, and I'm not fond of it, but just for the people in the house that don't really know what they're doing,
Sure,
they just
yeah.
need to cut on something and cook quick, I keep a gas grill just for that reason. I have a charcoal grill as well,
Yeah.
because when I want to really like barbecue something or cut them flame
That's the
up.
green egg.
That's
No, you got a different
That's a
one.
different one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a
And
Weber?
then I have the green egg. So yes, it is. So so I got 3, and then sometimes I'll have all 3 working. So I'll have something on the smoker that I know is going to take
You feel pretty
10,
cool when you got
12
all 3 going,
hours.
don't you?
If they just need to do some burgers real quick, I put them on the gas grill, and then I have like charcoal grill because that's just something I enjoy doing and working with the temperatures up and down. And
that's like multitasking, next level stuff, right?
It's like conducting an orchestra right there.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's like having 3 cell phones and doing business, doing different deals at the same time.
That's right.
Now do you see why I couldn't just come over here and make some wings or something like that? I got to show out. I got to make sure. So last thing I want is for him to go home and say, baby, I wasted all my time. Well, they came out here and they served me some Chick-fil-A chicken.
Listen,
what was going on?
Listen, well, I'm excited, first of all, because normally if I do a brisket, I'm somewhere around the 12 to 13 hour mark, maybe. Just the fact that you're talking 18 hours, like I just need to see what that is in my life.
It's Jello.
It
basically turns into Jello. And the reason why I did it for 18 hours is Terry supplied the brisket for us.
Okay.
And picked it up, and it was a nice cut. It had a really good amount of fat, and I run mine so long that I really don't trim a lot. I remove that hard decal on the back end and maybe take off a little bit of that silver skin on the bottom. Then I just let it melt away. It turns into beef butter.
So for those that are new to the brisket, because you're right, I mean, you get that piece of meat, and when we get ours from Terry, we always talk about AtlantaSteakandSeafood.com, by the way. I mean, this is, if you're going to put the effort into it, the 18 hours, you get the best meats that you possibly can because you can taste it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to entertain people, if we're going to entertain Montell Jordan, we're going to get the best meat that we possibly can get. So when the average griller sheet is going to do this, like me or Montell, right? You're talking about
more you than Montell.
You're putting it in. You're putting it in something like there's a juice factor, like a marinade.
No. So that's the thing. You've got a lot of guys that will inject their brisket. You've got some cats who let it brine for 6 to 12 hours in Coca-Cola to break down the collagen and the muscle fibers. Maybe I just do it the hard way, but I don't put anything but my own little rub on it. Little 3-season rub, that's it, and let the meat do the rest of the work. Don't inject, marinate, because when you start marinating and stuff like that, you're butting up against a pastrami. Granted that's a week, 3-week brine. Hey, Terry, maybe we can get another brisket. I can do a pastrami. I need it from now because 3 weeks from now I'll make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as temperature goes now, because that's the other thing, 18 hours, a lot of people are going, all right, well, can I leave if you're on the KJ or a green egg, can I, 18 hours, you're just sitting there watching paint dry.
Yeah.
So we'll explain that to people.
So for me, I have a giant stick burner, but if you've got a KJ at home or a green egg or maybe even a Yoder, you can sort of set it and leave it be and just check it on a little bit. If you've got a KJ or green egg, you're going to want to check back every 2 hours or so minimum.
Yeah.
Just because it takes 16 hours to make a good brisket, 30 minutes to ruin it.
You got 18 hours to kill, Montell?
I really don't, but
it depends on the size. It depends on the size of the brisket too, but not everyone takes one, and that's just how I cook it. You can trim off more fat and it'll cook faster. I just like that rendering out. I find it makes a better crust. It adds better flavor. Yeah. It keeps it moisture longer. I don't really have to do much as far as injecting and so forth.
Are you doing a lot of smoking at the house, Montell?
I do, man. And
I'm talking about the meat, obviously.
I hope so.
He's a pastor now, boys and girls.
Yeah, godly incense smoke. No, joking. No, I do. I try and maybe once every week, maybe every 2 weeks, we're having one meal where I'll just throw some wings out there and just let them smoke for a while. Or, I don't do a brisket maybe once a month. I may get a brisket in. But I think part of the challenge is when you're doing the long, those long cooking sessions, especially for me in particular with the egg, it's this thing of where, if I have it set at 180 or 200 to go for hours, but the wind picks up in Atlanta, and I, come back out and this sitting at 230, it's like, I'm freaking out, so.
Well, they have, for the KJ, and I think the egg has, there's a lot of different ones out there, but they have what's called the I command, which is, I don't know, some might say it's a little cheat factor, but it's Wi-Fi Bluetooth based, and it's got probes. So you have a probe that you put on your grill for the overall temperature, and then you have probes that you can stick into the thickest part of the meat, and then check it on your phone, and it'll give you notifications. So if
something's happening, and you can
okay, and if it needs to get hotter, it's got a fan inside of it that kicks on, that'll push oxygen, push air into your KJ, because obviously. You're locking it all up. You're closing it up to smoke it because you want the slow cook.
Yeah.
More oxygen, hotter, less oxygen, not so hot. You know, it's just kind of basic. Is that physics? Is it
Not necessarily physics, but
common sense?
But thermal combustion, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, thermal
You
combustion.
went thermal on you, man.
So that's what we're going to have today, and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's all ready to rock and roll. We've got pictures, and we'll have some video that we'll put up on the Shoot to Grill podcast for everyone. But I want to talk to you, Montell, because this is very exciting. You know, for a lot of people. You know, Montell, extremely successful singer, songwriter, now pastor. Go back to the early 90s. Was it 94?
1995.
1995.
Yes, sir.
Really, I mean, just one question is exactly how do we do it?
How do we do
Yeah,
it?
because how do we do that? I mean, that was the hit song that everybody sang, including myself.
He's trying to figure out what it is and how do we do it.
And how do we exactly do it? Dude, last night I'm watching that video, and it took me back, man.
Yeah.
That was such a good time. It was such a good era, too.
It was, you know, I love being a part of the soundtrack to people's lives. And that's really what 95 was for me. And when we struck a chord, because everybody has their own we, everybody has their own it. And so literally I was able to travel the world, and everybody had their own group of we, their own it of what it was that they were doing. And they did it different ways. For teachers, they would say, well, this is how we do it. Or if it was a R&B radio station, this is how we do it. It's a country station. This is how we do it. It was just everybody had their own circle of influence, and the music kind of became the soundtrack to whatever anybody was doing, you know, at that time. And so I was able to really gain traction with that particular song because I customized the song so many different ways, you know. It was just, you know, if I was saying, you know, I'm kind of buzzing this all because this is how we do it. Shoot to Grill, they do it like nobody does. Now you got a new theme, you know what I'm saying, for Shoot to Grill. Or, you know, Kamado. It's just like I could customize the song, and because people loved them being a part of the song now, everywhere I could go and everywhere I could sing the song and customize it was a place that it got played. Can
I tell you, after you just did that, if the good Lord were to take me right now, I would be okay with the life that I just lived. So you broke hard, and you're on the charts, and you are part of that 95. You know, see, I'm a fan of the 90s. I was a fan of the grunge era. And then when we start getting into that pop rock, almost pop hip hop, you know, Coolio was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you had all these. Hootie was huge. You know, the Collective Souls were huge during that time. It was fun. So for you, how did you break into the business? And then when you did break, how did your life change?
Well, I broke into the business because I was kind of a rapper / singer. And when I would do a lot of singing at the time, I was compared to R&B groups like Guy or like R. Kelly. And so I was told, well, there's already these groups. You have to do something different. And so because I had hip-hop sensibilities, because I could rap in ciphers and flip bars and all that type of stuff, I started creating, I thought, a technique that, you know, even now musically, when you hear like a artist like a Drake or guys right now that kind of rap and sing, that's what I did to get into the business back in 95. I basically would take R&B, I would take rap lyrics, and then I would sing them. And that's how I got into the business. So I would write down, I reach for my 40 and I turn it up. I designated driver, take the keys to my truck. That's rap lyrics, designated driver, take the keys to my truck. But then I would take it and say, designated driver, take the keys to my truck. And so I found a way to take hip-hop and R&B and put those things together to create a sound that was unique to just me. And so I was kind of Russell Simmons, Def Jam Records rap singer. And when you ask me how did it change my life, tremendously, because I got married in I want to say I got married in 94 in June of 94, and literally when my song hit 6 months later, right at the top of 95, it was nonstop, for the next 2 or 3 years. I think all of 1995, I slept in my house 13 days that year.
You're out there on the road.
I was out there getting it.
Yeah. So you went out on the road, your first tour. Who did you go out with?
Very first tour, I was the opening act for Mary J. Blige's TLC and Boys to Men.
Well, that's a big tour.
Oh.
They were some of the biggest artists on the planet at the time in the world of R&B. And the cool thing, well, not the cool thing, but what interesting happened on that tour was Mary J. Blige blew up with a record at that time, and she left the tour, and so it was just TLC, Boys to Men, and myself opening up. And then my girl T-Boz from TLC was suffering with, I want to say it was sickle cell. And so TLC came off the tour, and instead of adding people to replace them, basically me and Boys to Men just stayed on a tour together and just went out for almost a year and a half with just us.
Yeah. Did you find it after that tour and your first song, did you feel the stress of the business and the industry happens with a lot of artists that you had to produce another hit and another hit? Were you getting a lot of pressure from the fans, yourself, the label?
That the pressure wasn't there yet. I think the pressure was having such a big record and trying to get to the next song and people saying, nah, we're not ready. We just really like this song. Yeah. So I would have a song called Something for the Honeys that would mid-chart simply because people didn't want to stop playing This Is How We Do It. And so eventually, yes, down the road it was, can you have another This Is How We Do It? Can you have another, number one record? And I would have other number one records, but still people remember This Is How We Do It as being one of the biggest.
Yeah, that was big, if memory serves. I got in the radio business in '95 and in a top 40 station. And I can remember, it was tough for a lot of artists that had such a big hit to have a follow-up hit because they didn't want to hear anything else.
Sure.
It's kind of like an actor having such a breakthrough role and being typecast.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to know them as that character. They just want to know them from that character.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can only imagine how difficult that was.
Well, it's tough, and even today, as you're, I'm 20-something years into this, and I'll see somebody, post something or on social media and they'll say, oh, Montell Jordan, or he's a one-hit wonder. And I had to step away from that, to hear that, because when they say one hit wonder, I start thinking, you mean a number one hit wonder or, because I have multiple number one records. This Is How We Do It was a number one record. Get It On Tonight was a number one record. Let's Ride was a number one record. Deborah Cox, Nobody's Supposed to Be Here, that I co-wrote. It's a number one record. Cisco's Incomplete, that I co-wrote. It's a number one record. So I'm a number one hit wonder, but multiple times over. And so but the magnitude, and I think I said it early on, because you become the soundtrack to people's lives, even though you have those other number one records, it still kind of takes you back to 1995 because you really felt something more than just a hit record. It kind of became something that ingrained in people's lives of remembering a really good time.
Yeah, I it's funny you say the soundtrack to people's lives. I use that term as well. In my office at my house, I have a handful of vinyls on the wall of different genres that represent, like I'll look at that vinyl and I'll say, I'll look at Huey Lewis in the News and I'll say, I was in Montgomery Ward in Glen Burnie, Maryland with my grandmother, and that was the first cassette I bought, and my grandmother says to me, Trace, is this about sports?
Oh, wow.
Is
that how your grandmother sounds?
Well, she did. Yeah, she was, Trace, you need to do this, Trace. So that was old Graham. Love her to death. Oh my God, miss her to death. But so the soundtrack of people's lives. For you, not only as an artist but as a fan of music, to get your style. Who was it that would be the soundtrack to your life? Hey, give us 30 seconds so we can thank some good people for making this happen. A big thanks to Jarrett with Oxendine Law Firm, oxlawfirm.com. What does Jarrett do? Well, Jarrett will take care of any divorce that you might be thinking about having. He handles divorces in the state of Georgia and especially the greater Atlanta area. oxlawfirm.com. Thanks, Jarrett. See, that wasn't bad. Now back to the Shoot to Grill podcast.
Oh, I had tons of guys. I mean, I grew up, listening to Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, Lionel Richie, of course, Michael Jackson and Prince. These are all people. Luther Vandross. I really like the sound of Minneapolis that Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis was doing. So I was heavily influenced by a lot of older R&B guys that were just right before my time. And then, growing up in church, there were a lot of people that sang for me. There were unknowns, but I would listen to them, and they could sing circles around a lot of people, that had record deals.
Who today and most recently have come to you and said, Montell, I wouldn't be in this business or I wouldn't have this style if it weren't for you and what you did?
That's a hard one because, this generation is just a little different. I think everybody wants to be kind of self-made, made men and made women from the standpoint of, their artistry and their creativity. A lot of times they don't say it to you, so whereas now for me, 20-something years later, I can call out Luther Vandross and Lionel Richie and all these guys. Maybe somebody that's new, I don't know if they would say I influenced them or their styles. I know they would say that I was a part of their musical life growing up, that either their older brothers or sisters or their mother, or for some people their grandmother, were rocking to This Is How We Do It. And so if I did influence some, it would be great. I believe I have. I haven't heard it directly from anyone, but I can listen to the music and I can tell, where my DNA is.
Yeah, the 90s, 95, especially with, I keep calling it pop hip hop, but, because it crossed over. I mean, you could be played on what's called an urban radio station and what's called a top 40 radio station.
Sure.
So, even the rap movement in the late 80s, believe it or not, bands like NWA, which...
Yeah.
To the people over here, to the people over there, to the people from everywhere watching the show. I know. I love me some NWA.
Hashtag bars.
It crossed over to us white kids.
Who knew?
Yeah.
And so when you get into the middle 90s and you have, like a Montell Jordan or, I'm even going like Mint Condition or Jade and some of these bands, they were being played on top 40 stations that everybody was enjoying. It wasn't as segregated as people might have thought or some music prior.
Yeah.
Which is great for artists like you for the success.
When a record could cross over, it was either phenomenal or it was the kiss of death for artists back then because everybody was super, super territorial. You know, if you were an R&B artist and you had R&B hits, if you happened to cross over and then you had white kids and all types of different nationalities now listening to your music, there was the whole, he's selling out or whatever. But I think that music, it crosses cultures, it crosses races, and fortunately for me, I was able to travel the world, with a song like This Is How We Do It and meet people from all over, and still be able to have a career that was not just secured only in R&B, but also that allowed me avenues to be able to go and do some really cool pop stations and shows and summer jams and concerts and tours. Yeah,
well, I think for the white kids, when you're listening to some of the rock in the 80s, the big thing, like with a band like Kiss, they would replace some of the cuss words with, spit. And, they would use different words. And it kind of ran its course. And then you get into the late 80s, 88, 89, and then you get like Sally, that girl. And then you're listening to the lyrics, you're going, oh, my God. It's like, I'm not supposed to be listening to this. Mom doesn't know what Kiss is saying because she thinks I don't know what they're saying, but they're blatant.
Yeah.
Like, this is awesome. I feel like I'm taking a risk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's badass.
I'd like. Do I have to raise my hand?
Yes, sir.
I've never been on this side, so I don't know how it goes.
Yeah, just ask Montell a question. Go ahead, jump in.
So I just had to ask one question. We're all talking about the soundtracks of people's lives, which are definitely a big part of mine. Honestly, it's on my Memorial Day playlist when I was doing a cookout. Memorial Day Tuesday. So
if you're cooking on Memorial Day and you don't have me on your playlist, that's a problem.
It really is. Add that on there.
Okay.
But I have to ask you, what song is part of your life soundtrack?
Oh, wow. That's great. I would say, well, there's a couple. A part of my life soundtrack, I always go to Frankie Beverly and Maze.
Oh,
Before I Let Go, when this the way the song comes on. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da, whoa, whoa. When that comes on, like that does it for me. When I'm slowing it down, the original Smokey Robinson Cruising. Baby, let's cruise away from here.
Prior to the D'Angelo Reed mix of it,
yeah, and he did a great job with it. I'm just I love traditional music. So for me, I'm all into the Frankie Beverly and Maze. I'm into anything Stevie Wonder. And then if I even flip to the other side, I was a huge Wham fan.
Yeah.
George
Nothing wrong
Michael.
with
That was
that.
the first concert I ever went to was
Jitterbug.
Katrina and the Waves, Wham, and Shaka Khan. That was my very first concert. And so anytime that, George Michael or something from Wham comes on, I go there. Daryl Hall and Oates.
Yeah.
So I was very eclectic musically growing up.
That was your first concert, Wham?
Wham, yeah.
How old were you?
I want to say I was probably 13.
All right. Did you buy the ticket? Somebody give it to you?
Somebody gave us the tickets.
And where was it?
It was at the Hollywood racetrack. I think it's called the Hollywood. I don't know. It's called something different now, but it was a racetrack in Los Angeles, California, in Inglewood.
Buy a shirt?
Hollywood Park. That's what it's called.
Buy a shirt?
Did not. I was only 13.
You didn't buy a shirt? You didn't have money?
Did not.
Yeah. What was the second concert you went to?
Don't remember.
Wow, really?
I do not remember the second concert.
First concert?
Michael Jackson.
Second?
Wow, that's a good
That's
start.
a big first concert,
It
by the way.
is. It's a big.
Second?
Second was
It's like asking somebody what was the second video played on MTV.
Yeah.
Second wasn't for like over decades later. It was Gym Class Heroes.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it was forever in between
Dude, you took
concerts.
a minute to get to your next
I
show,
took a
didn't you?
while. I had stuff going on in between then and there.
Oh, my God.
a little busy.
Yeah,
look
life
busy.
and such. But yeah,
So-
first was Michael, then Gym Class Heroes.
Mine was Frankie Goes to Hollywood,
Okay.
11 years old, Capitol Center in D.C. My neighbor gave me the ticket. And the second concert, Huey Lewis and the News,
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Fort Myers. I forget what the venue was called. And I'll never forget dressing up in my all-jean Guess outfit,
Oh God.
trying to look good,
Jacket, jeans.
down on the floor and getting pushed around in what would be considered a Huey Lewis mosh pit. And this girl's
I don't think
hair.
you can say Huey Lewis and Mosh Pit in the same.
sentence.
But go ahead.
This was the first. Getting this face full of hair from this girl in front of me getting pushed into her, and I'm sweating because I'm so hot with my jean jacket on. And I turn around, and this dude goes, "How was it, man?" That's all I remember from the show. Not that I was intoxicated. It was just all I remember.
It was a blur.
Okay, so the hit, the success, the fortune, the fame, the notoriety, and then you moved to Atlanta.
Sure.
All right, even though you've been here, obviously 20 years you've been, but now you're a pastor,
Yes.
out of the business completely.
Yes.
Before we get into the pastor stuff, when was the day you decided I'm out of the business?
Well, everything that you named, fame, fortune, all of those different things, were all measures of worldly success, but I had no significance. And so, to me, I felt like I'm doing all of these things, and it'll never be enough for me. It'll never be enough for everybody else. You get a number one record, and then somebody says, well, say, can you do it again? You get another number one record. Or I get a number one record, and I wonder, will I ever have another number one record? And I get another number one record, and it's like, will I ever sell 1 million copies? And then you sell 1 million copies. Will I ever get that house? And then you get that house. Will I ever get that car? And so it was these successes that lined up to the world saying, this is going to satisfy you. This is going to satisfy you. And it never satisfied me. Me going into ministry was really not trading. I think it was more exchanging what people look at as successful for something that was more significant. And then I found that musically, I felt like when I was doing it for something significant, it brought a different measure of success that was not based on what I thought or what other people thought about me.
But you still will and do perform. You last season American Idol. made an
Yeah, I did.
appearance.
I did the season finale of American Idol. I just came back this weekend from being with MC Hammer. He's doing a tour, MC Hammer's House Party. I was up in the Bay Area doing that. I'll tour from time to time with I Love the 90s shows with TLC and Salt and Pepper and Kid and Play and Biz Markie. A lot of people, that whole thing, if it ain't 90s music, I don't want it.
Remember
And I
Stevie
get to
B?
do that. Of course. That's
Oh,
my
my
guy.
God.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Oh, dude.
And, but
Yeah.
but
we
I
gotta have
just
a barbecue, me, you, and Stevie B. That'd be awesome.
listen. I know that guy.
You don't know-
Sure,
oh,
leave,
Steve, you're invited too.
leave the cook out of it. That makes sense.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah.
sense. Appreciate that, guys.
But I just recently, about 3 weeks ago, I released a new song that I hadn't released I haven't released a single in over 10 years. And I released a song called When I'm Around You, an R&B single. It features a rap artist named Lecrae, Grammy Award-winning rap artist. And is doing very well right now. And because what I do now is significant in ministry, and because I do it I don't think what I do significantly in ministry is just for the church. I think what I do significantly with my life is for people outside of the church and just in the world to be able to see, how my life was transformed by the decisions that I made.
Did you feel that with all that fortune and fame and that lifestyle that for you and your family and moving forward, was it a you decision, or did somebody come to you and say, look, you need to change some things up, or you're going to go down a path that you don't need to go down?
I was down that path. There's no question that life, marriage, debt, all types of things, I was way down that road. And people would say, if you want to know what lies down the road ahead, ask somebody who's been down that road or somebody who's maybe even on the way back. I'm a guy that was, on the way back from going down that path. And man, if I'm just honest, the word that comes to mind as you are even describing those things, it's counterfeit. And all the money I had at that time that the label had given me was counterfeit money. The fame was counterfeit. The notoriety, the press, all of those different things, it's counterfeit because it's not sustainable. And so when you're living a life of, man, you're hot right now, or you're this or you're that, but it's not real, ministry was something that gave me something real and tangible that lasts forever. And so it's kind of like, would you rather have $1 million counterfeit dollars or one real dollar? You got $1 million and they're counterfeit. And listen, you can even spend counterfeit bills somewhere because people don't know the difference between what's real and what's fake. But at some point, people recognize that's not real, and you want what's real. And that's what ministry was for me. It was the $1 that was worth $1 million simply because it's real and it's not fake.
Do you feel that your life now, being in ministry, doing music on your own terms in your own time, you're a more complete person than you were then?
Oh God, man, that's the greatest statement you can say when you use the word complete. Because before, I was different Montells. I was a lot of artists could be diagnosed schizophrenic. I would be a Montell when I come to do the radio. I would be Montell with my wife. When I'm around my kids, I'm a different Montell. When I'm with my mom, I'm a different Montell. When I'm in the club, I'm a different Montell. I had a bunch of different Montells, and I'm trying to keep up with all these different personalities. Man, when I went into ministry, I became the Montell that God loves the most. And so the guy that's here on the podcast, the guy that I'm on church this weekend, when I'm worshiping, when I'm with our men's ministry on Friday, when I do a concert with MC Hammer, when I'm on a television show on American Idol, I'm just one guy. I'm a complete guy now. And so going into ministry allowed me to take all those different personalities, man, and just be the one guy that God loves the most. And so I sleep well at night. I sleep better than I've ever slept in my entire life. My family is secure with me as a husband, as a father, as a friend, as a guy that is trying to lead my family closer to something that's significant as opposed to something that's successful. And so I am living my best life right now simply because of a decision that I made, to follow Christ, man.
Your story is amazing. And, and I've seen people, in this business that had no life, got the life, and then went down to a bad life, let's just say.
Yeah.
So your story is so much more positive and inspiring that you had a life, had the life. You didn't want that life, and now have a complete life.
Yeah.
So I know it's a little deep for a grilling podcast, but that's really, really cool and really amazing. Was there a rock bottom moment?
Lots.
Yeah. Not one in particular?
Well, there's moments of rock bottom where you hit the bottom and then you realize there's something underneath that bottom too. I've been those places. I've been at financial rock bottoms. In bankruptcy, I've been in financial, not just financial rock bottom, but I've been in marital rock bottom, through infidelity, through adultery in our marriage. I mean, there's been multiple rock bottoms, but through all of those, I think that just is, that's a journey of life. I think, you have these mountains and then you have these valleys, and we were never meant to live on the mountaintops. We were meant to get to a mountaintop so you can see where the next mountaintop is. And then we live life, trying to make it through and navigate through these valleys, dude. So, there were lots of in my now 50 years of life, rock bottom places that I felt like God brought me up out of. But there was no like one moment of this is just it. You know, there was like 40 something years of moments strung together that basically I was ready to dive in again and try what I had done a million times before, which is the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That will resonate in the grilling world too, doing something over and over again, expecting the same result. But yeah, man, I got to a place of where I was about to try and do the same thing again, and I just felt like God was saying to me, man, don't you want something different? You want to try it my way? You know, you've always put that rub, you know, on your thing this way, and you inject it or this or that, and there's a guy right here that's saying, hey, you don't have to do all that. Maybe you could try it just this way, and it'll be something completely different. And it may be different. You know, I don't have to inject, and I don't have to put Dr. Pepper on and do all those different things. And so this was my ministry moment of let me just try and do something different.
Hey, give us 30 seconds so we can thank some good people for making this happen. Live rebelliously, drink responsibly with Bedlam Vodka. I tell you, they're the best at what they do. I am in love with Bedlam Vodka. Goes down smooth, has consistency. Demand your Bedlam Vodka, and we appreciate Bedlam Vodka for sponsoring the Shoot to Grill podcast. BedlamVodka.com. See, that wasn't bad. Now back to the Shoot to Grill podcast. Yeah, well, man, it's so happy to hear that a guy like you that a lot of us, you know, grew up listening to the music, you know the story, and you're extremely honest about it. And I think that's part of, for those that, you know, are fans of yours or have similar issues, that they can hear honesty. And you can look through it. You can look at somebody and be like, oh, that guy's just feeding me lines here. But
yeah,
you know, your honesty is off the charts. She, do you got any questions for Montell? Because I want to wrap things up and get some of that brisket. I'm starving.
That's what I'm talking about.
Just bringing it back to food, you mentioned you make a gumbo. I just want to know, do you make a blonde or a dark roux?
I'm dark.
Dark?
Dark
my
roux.
Man, on that note, now I can slice the brisket.
Yeah, slice up that brisket.
I just had to make sure.
Hey, well, she's slicing that up. Let's go back and revisit 95. So I pulled off the hits from 95. Okay. So, of course, you know, we've got Montell Jordan, and this is how we do it on there. But we had Coolio.
That's my guy.
Gangsta's Paradise.
No doubt.
Right? Just listen to these songs from 95. For those that, you know, in that Gen X 40-something age range are really going to appreciate this and take you back. TLC Waterfalls.
Those are my girls.
TLC 2 and 3 with Creep. Waterfalls and then Creep. Seal, Kiss from a Rose.
Great record. Batman soundtrack.
Sorry, that song, I feel I can't listen to it. No offense, Seal. Love you to death. You're extremely talented.
Soundtrack to your life.
Bad part of it.
Understood.
It was. I don't know what it was, but every time I hear that song, I feel it my belly button. It hurts.
Sade, Is It a Crime for me?
What's that?
Sade, Is It a Crime? That's the song that gives me that feel.
Do you know? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know why though? For
No.
your song?
No.
You have no idea.
Well, I remember the time that I was in at that time, and so because of what I was going through at that time, that song is now the soundtrack for that moment in my life.
Yeah, it hurts like in my belly. I mean, it's a weird. It's like having, you know, food poisoning. You know, I feel bad. I'm saying this about Seal, but you know, sorry, dude. Boys to Men on Bended Knee.
Those are my guys.
I mean, you can't. I mean, great, right? Real McCoy, Another Night. Remember that?
Don't remember Real McCoy.
It's another night. No, all right.
No, got nothing.
Mariah Carey, Fantasy.
Of course.
And I think I was, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Madonna, Take a Bow.
Absolutely.
Monica, Don't Take It Personal.
That's
Just
my girl.
one of them days.
Yeah. ATL native.
Then Montell, you got you and Deanna Ferris. I Know. Boys to Men, Water Runs Dry. Isn't this great?
Multiple records on the charts there. Yeah.
Adina Howard, Freak Like Me. I'm not familiar with that.
Adina Howard. She had, at some point, I was number 1 on the R&B charts, and she was number 2. She never got the number 1 record that year because This Is How We Do It was on the top of the charts, I think, for 8 or 9 weeks in a row while she was at number 2.
So Adina's probably not a big Montell Jordan fan.
That's my girl.
She's like, if that song
had I not existed, then, you know. But.
You know, I got these records, but damn, there's no number 1 because that guy right there. Blues Traveler, Runaround. Love me some Blues Traveler. All for One, I Can Love You Like That.
Those are my guys. I tour with them every now and then.
That was big.
Yeah.
That was a commercial hit.
Those guys sing really well.
Yeah.
Like even today, like they're really good.
Bryan Adams, Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman?
Wow.
Gotta love Bryan Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Robin Hood, all that good stuff.
It's a great song.
Bon Jovi, Always.
It smells so good right now.
I know. Can you smell that?
He's slicing. Your camera can't get that, but I'm watching the jiggle. Yeah, that's the jelly.
You know, I just noticed that
That's
the entire
amazing.
episode, we had some guy behind us doing some water spraying or something.
Yeah, it was
I'm like,
like-
where'd that sound go? I just got so used to
You
it.
can actually hear yourself now.
You know, and it's funny when you see Bon Jovi in '95, even though Bon Jovi, big hair metal guy, stood the test of time. I mean, still around today, but you know, nobody wanted anything to do with that '80s stuff. I mean, it was, and now it's back, obviously, thank God. But you know, as far as that retro nostalgia is a big emotion right now. But,
Yeah.
You know, you got into the grunge and then the pop hip hop and stuff like that. That hair metal, it was like, if you
Yeah.
liked that, you were.
It was a tough season.
I mean, even as a fan,
Yeah.
you know, you couldn't even tell people.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to take your posters down. You couldn't wear your shirts
I'm
anymore.
a big Journey fan. All that, a lot of that hair rock and hair metal stuff. I was into that.
Were you into it?
Yeah, I was quietly.
Yeah, quietly.
Yeah.
You couldn't be a hip hop guy and be into that stuff, right? Did you go to any concerts?
Quietly.
Quietly, like in the corner.
Quietly.
Tell me some.
I'm a huge big black guy. I stand out in that crowd back then. Yeah.
There were a couple. You had Living Color, King's X. I mean, you could have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seven Dust now. Shaggy, Boombastic.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was another one of those. I mean, that's a dirty song.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, right? That's the one I'm
Yeah.
talking about. That's a dirty song.
Bombastic. Bombastic.
In the bathroom floor. You know, or
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Nikki French redoing Total Eclipse of the Heart. Desiree, you got it. Michael Jackson, You're Not Alone. Hootie, Hold My Hand. I think they were big. 95 was big for Hootie.
Yeah, man.
You know, so you know their first album, if memory serves, I loved Hootie and the Blowfish. I went 2 years in college, Wingate, North Carolina, and they're a South Carolina band. So they would do a lot of these pop-up shows under different names like Hoot or Fish, and just the locals.
You have to just kind of find it.
In the Carolinas knew.
That's cool.
But they purposely, on Hold My Hand in their first album, Cracked Rear View, did not show pictures because Darius Rucker wanted people
To love his voice and love him without.
because
Yeah.
the black guy in the rock band.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, let's see what you think.
Yeah.
And everybody fell in love with him. They're like, oh,
What?
he's Hootie. Hootie's a
Hootie.
black guy.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Hootie hoo.
Yeah, exactly. So do you, with your ministry stuff, and it's in Norcross, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Norcross, Georgia.
So
Victory
you-
World Church.
You lead that church?
I do not lead the church. I'm an executive pastor there. I do men's ministry, marriage ministry alongside my wife, and worship. I lead worship.
So is that every Sunday?
Most every Sunday, I'm doing something.
Yeah. And do you get a lot of fans at church, even though they're supposed to be there, you
For
know,
Jesus.
for Jesus, reading the good word? They're in there to say, hey, Montell, you can sign this?
Yeah, I've been asked to sign a couple of Bibles.
Yeah.
But
sign a couple Bibles.
Yeah, will you sign my Bible? You know, it's super awkward. But normally, I mean, I've been there long enough now. I've been there almost 10 years, so people know I'm there. And if it just draws people's attention, what, Montell Jordan? He's a pastor there. He sings there. I'd love to go see that. So if it draws people there, hey, that's part of the gift that I've been given, of influence. And if that helps get people to church, I love it.
Have you ever stepped in with another artist to help them with their journey? Maybe
Absolutely.
You have?
Yes, regularly.
I mean, can you say some names because of success stories that?
I would not.
Okay, so but you've did they reach out to you?
I have great relationships. I have great friendships. So, you're married. If you ever reached out to me and said, hey, me and my wife, we're navigating through X, Y, and Z, me and my wife would step in and we would walk alongside of you and we would just be friends on the external and no one would ever know that on the internal that we were walking alongside of you.
What's your success rate? Pretty good?
I would say probably about 90%.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the other 10%, they've already determined what they're going to do before they get to us.
Yeah, because it seems like, if you compare it to, let's say, the NFL, right? So, years ago, rookies coming to the league get paid tons of money. And they
What's your NFL team? I'm sorry, I got to just get that real quick. You said NFL.
Just any NFL team.
Okay.
You're talking about what my favorite?
Yeah, your favorite NFL
Oh,
team.
I'm a Skins Falcons guy
Okay.
because I'm originally from Maryland.
You said Skins?
Redskins, yeah. Why, something wrong with that?
Almost left the interview right there.
You're a Cowboys
Yeah,
fan?
man.
That's what I figured.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted your question.
Yeah, no, okay, it's going to get weird and awkward now, but that's fine. These guys would come into the NFL, and they get paid all this money, again, live the lifestyle, there'd be no one there to mentor them or help them. The NFL now has changed that. They've got guys, and especially for rookies coming in particularly doing that for them. So what you're doing for a lot of these artists, especially probably newer artists, is you're saying, hey, man, don't go down that road.
Yeah.
Right?
It's mentorship. Wow. It looks amazing.
Does that not look awesome?
Oh, my goodness.
I thought he was just giving us meat, but he's putting it on bread. You got some onions and some.
Phenomenal.
These are the
He made the
pickles
taco.
you made,
What'd you
right?
call them?
It goes to show just how
Brisket
little
taco?
Jason actually listens to me. At the start of the show.
Did the pickles, you make these pickles, right?
Yeah, I made the pickles and I made the pickled onions, and I just finished my first batch of mustard, so I'm real happy with how it turned out. So I'm gonna
Awesome.
How
maybe
do
we'll
I
do some
eat
burgers
this?
If I had known, I would have brought my barbecue sauce. I make
That's right.
homemade barbecue sauce from scratch,
Hey,
and I did
you
not
know
think
what?
to do that.
I make house calls. You know,
We're gonna do this.
We can come
We'll
by,
put
bring
these
some
things
rack of
together.
ribs, you can blind taste test.
Put this thing
You know,
together.
make it happen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We
Let me
can
give you
FaceTime. We can FaceTime Jason, so he
I
feels
was
like
going to
he's
say,
part
let
of
me
it.
give you your receipt. Where is my invite? That's called a receipt. All right, how do I eat this?
With your hands.
Yeah, but I mean, do I fold?
Bend it in half and take a bite. I know
right,
you don't
you
like
ready?
onions, so
It's a taco.
yeah, Pitmaster taco.
Bread taco.
This is actually one of the snacks you may get. Like, this is what I eat while making brisket.
You know what this is? This is Eddie Murphy's house burger. You know, you put it on the Wonder Bread, and you got to... Oh, my God.
That's wonderful. First of all, shout out to the pickles and onions.
Thank you.
Meat super tender, flavorful.
And no
Nowhere
sauce.
near dry. No sauce on it.
Yeah. Sure would be good with some Montell Jordan barbecue sauce. So.
This is how we cue it.
This is how we do
This
it.
is how we
No,
do it.
this is how we cue it.
Oh, that's how we cue it.
See what I did there?
That's good. Is that on the bottle?
It is.
That's clever.
Thank you.
All right. If you don't mind, I'd love, if you have time, to come back for a later episode. Because I think we can just hang out. We'll just maybe I'll get head mics or something so we don't have to hold these things.
Maybe get some beef ribs or some.
Oh no! What do you want?
You
Next
you
time,
name.
what do you want? You pick.
Dealer stores.
No.
Let's do something with pork, man.
I knew we were going to get along.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah, we can do a pork. What do you want to do pork wise? Ribs,
We
roast.
can do pork. We can do pork butt. We can do pernine. We can do
All right.
any and everything.
Well, look,
Pork's my favorite to make.
Sheed, you're the man. As always,
I appreciate that.
amazing. PhillipsBarbecueCo.com. And, you know, there's pictures and videos of the brisket that Sheed made, and all that stuff is up on our website.
Yep.
So if you're going to put something like this together, put it together like she does. Atlantic Grill Company here in Roswell, Georgia, always a great host, allowing us to use their product and their set. You can buy stuff online directly from them. They'll ship it. AtlantaSteakandSeafood.com. Terry, the best meat. This meat is amazing, is it not?
I lost a pickle.
Yeah, that's all right. CreateGraphics.net.
Rachel's really mad about that.
Ryan doing all of our graphics. My shirt, you can order them from him. OxLawFirm.com. Northside Tool Rental. Bedlam, Vodka, live rebelliously, drink responsibly, and our special celebrity guest. I got to tell you, this was such a fantastic episode, great conversation. Montell Jordan, thank you so much.
You're awesome, man. I don't know if they can hear me chewing on the air, and if it enrages people that I would do that. But this show is awesome, and this food is awesome, and our conversation today just off the charts, man. So
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Shoot the grill. We'll talk to you soon. Bye. You a cigar smoker? Great news for you. TheHumidor.com. You got to go to this website. They are a big supporter of the Shoot to Grill podcast. Free shipping on every order every day. Cigar bundles, samplers, and boxes. Guaranteed freshness. Huge selection of cigars handpicked by certified tobacconists. That's an awesome word. Great prices, the best in the business, thehumidor.com, and a big thanks for sponsoring the Shoot to Grill podcast.